Discussions of social mobility frequently focus on the path up, and I'm thinking of Americans here. It's one of their most endearing characteristics. But in China's traditional social system, as much emphasis was placed on the path down. For about 1,000 years, the primary path to power was through the exam system, a very high-stakes test that most people failed. It would be very unusual for a father and son to pass the exam at the same level in succeeding generations, and they would therefore be unable to preserve the family's status. But that's where the Yin privilege comes in, a kind of pressure valve consciously built into the system. It gave the right for an official of a sufficiently high rank to give a male relative a position in the bureaucracy one level below his own. Americans, and others maybe, I'm sure, will be horrified. In contrast to the exam system, which for the purposes of this video I'll call meritocratic, this would be nepotism at its deepest. And I should add, the people that came in through the Yin privilege were not necessarily bad guys, and many of them were better, higher achieving in their careers than their meritocratically chosen colleagues. But is there any positive defense for this? And why would it be built in institutionally to a system that was otherwise, at least on its face, meritocratic? The logic goes like this. People care about their children and perpetuating their family's status across time. And if someone who is at the top of the system, full of power and influence, sees that their offspring are going to slip into obscurity, it gives them reason to mess with the system as it exists, try to bend it or pervert it to their own ends. The Yin privilege answered that problem. It makes the decline in status less abrupt and gives powerful people a reason to go along and support the system as it exists without messing with it. If, for example, the father is a Harvard man, but his son can't hack it and goes to Yale, that's still completely respectable. After all, that institution is famously the Harvard of Central Connecticut. And when the grandson goes to Brown, well, everyone is just happy he can be himself and still be part of society. A few generations of gradual sliding softens the blow. This problem is still with us, of families perpetuating political power across generations, exacerbated now by the rise of a kind of red aristocracy whose ancestors were the founding revolutionaries of the People's Republic. Years ago, it seemed like wealth might be enough, that these people would take their unimaginable fortunes as a kind of conciliatory second prize and step back from politics, but now that just seems naive. Many of them will do anything to gain or maintain power in ways that deeply distort the politics of the People's Republic. You know, certainly, that the current guy in charge is a member of this group. His father was an old revolutionary, and he owes his present position to how his family helped work him up through the ranks. I'm sharing here, though, a slightly different vision, different family, but same principle. These are the Boas, the grandfather at background, an old revolutionary, the son at right, who is Xi Jinping's biggest rival and almost became the top dog, and grandson at left, a bit brash and famous for racking up parking tickets on the sports cars he would leave all over 02138. When the risk of losing power is so great to your life and your liberty and your family, people will take great gambles and risk it all in ways that hurt everyone. I hate aristocrats of all kinds, but I wonder if we had had some version, modern, of the Yin privilege, we could have avoided all the dangers that the Xis and the Boas present. And, you know, Guagua wouldn't be in exile, that's the grandson here, and his father wouldn't be spending the rest of his life in prison. But here's the question for you. Is there any appropriate place for designing a system of downward social mobility in your country or society, or does it already exist? I genuinely think this is a blind spot we could think harder about and do interesting policy work on, and maybe the shadow privilege can have a comeback in the 21st century.